It is Wednesday, the 4th day of June, 2025, and happy Pride Month to all who celebrate. Feel free to make all the gay jokes you want and see what happens. Yeah, I don't even know. It's just, the gay people I know make all kinds of genuinely funny jokes during Pride Month. It seems. It's almost as if it's almost as if they're just bestowed with better humor during Pride Month. That's funny. Not only that, it's also what I'm going to now call find a hobby season. That's right. So my usual pastime of sitting on my fat ass watching sports is coming, to what has become a rather usual summer doldrum. Hockey and baseball wrap up in the next, couple of weeks or so. The Red Sox are fucking dog shit. Literally. Both footballs don't really kick off again until August. There is some kind of fakakta tournament in here coming up that I'm trying not to care about, but I'll probably end up watching. I am apparently spending a ton of time fighting a cold, as we are now entering week 2 of way too much fucking phlegm in my head. So, with that in mind, I need to find something to occupy my time other than my job. So, I'm reading more, which is nice, thanks to the book club at work, which I'm very excited about. However, my attention span is shit, so it's not always the most enjoyable. If I'm not locked in, then reading can be a struggle. Because occasionally comprehension is a struggle. But it's mainly my attention span. Entirely undiagnosed ADHD. Which, if I had it diagnosed, would probably be helpful, but, I'd rather suffer. Yeah. I would like to take up hiking, and it's something I've thought about numerous times, and I can hear the laughter on the other end of this when I say such things, because looking at me, you would not say, oh, there goes a hiker. No, it's just that I would like to get outside more. That's kind of what I would like to do. But, just to... It'll not only pass time, but it'll get me into peak middle-aged fat guy shape. I don't know what that is. I did think about getting into the sports card game for a bit. But one, I think I'm a bit late. I think I missed the boat there. And two, any thought immediately left my mind the minute I saw that Tom Brady got involved. Anytime a ridiculous rich person gets involved in a hobby, the hobby is now a business. And that's exactly what it's become. So thank you, Tom Brady, for ruining, really for me, the first thing ever. Because generally, Tom, you can do no wrong. However, in this case, you've done wrong. There's a couple things. That's something that I desperately want to dive into. Tom Brady, this Fanatics guy. And I know that I've talked about it. I think I posted about it on the gram at ComplaintsPod. I would really like to get into that a bit more. Anyways, but that's out, so sorry. There's also podcasting, but let's be honest, I've tried that, and after 5 years, it's still fucking terrible. So I may touch on hobbies today, who knows. What I am going to talk about is fashion, music, makeup, Maron, snack foods. I have a couple of voicemails, and 3 gripes. On this episode number 189 of Complaints and Observations.
Still, a voyage into the mundane and an exercise in futility. swimming in the absurd, while drowning in unearned self-importance. Entirely unworthy of your time, it is the world's worst podcast. This is Complaints and Observations with Dave LaPointe.
Who the hell is Dave LaPointe?
I think he's a bum. I think he's an absolute bum.
All right. What is up? What's going on? How's things? All right. Well, glad to hear it. Yeah. I don't even know where to start. Which I'm sure has you on the edge of your seat, right? Or maybe you're not sitting. Maybe you're standing. Maybe you're walking. And if you are, please, I urge you to sit down, relax, and listen to a crappy podcast with a host who can't shake the common cold. Go figure. Anyway, so yeah, what's going on? Not much new here, which is good, I suppose. I mean, we're in the month of June. Huh? Can't believe we're here. Can't believe it's June already. We'll talk about that later. But one of the things that I did mention, and I said fashion, right? And the only reason I said fashion is because I've been getting this. I subscribe to like a bunch of newsletters, and the newsletter, had a bunch of offshoots, and one of them was like a men's fashion newsletter. I'm like, all right, fuck it, see what's cooking, right? It's like, look, I'm a fat guy, okay? I'm middle-aged, I'm poor. But the way that some of these men's fashion articles, because the newsletter will just have links to other articles, right? That's just an aggregator. And the articles in the newsletters talk about what guys are wearing. And when I see some of this shit, I'm like, oh my God, like, how is this fashionable? Like, you see different cuts, you see different colors, you see a lot of shit that it looks awkward, right? And they always show, like, common guy in the street, and it's guys who probably spend 2 hours getting ready to go outside, yet, try to make it look like they just kind of threw something together. That's the worst kind of fashion, if you ask me. Now, again, as a middle-aged fat guy, my goal is to just not look entirely slovenly. And I think I pull that off okay. Like, I try to match. I'm always clean. I'm impeccably clean. So that's a whole other thing. But one thing I hate is wrinkles, but it's inevitable. Being, again, a short fat guy, like, your clothes are going to get wrinkled, and I hate it. And anybody who tells you, oh, just get some wrinkle-free shirts, yeah, those don't exist. You're not buying a double XL wrinkle-free. Oh, we're off to a bad start, folks. Sorry. You're not buying a double XL wrinkle-free button-up shirt, because they don't exist. They exist, but they're not wrinkle-free. My whole point is, right, that when I look at these people, I think to myself, I would never wear that. Part of it is, I could never pull it off. And here's the thing, right? 90% of people cannot pull off some of the shit that these weirdos are wearing. And it's like, I look like fucking Pierce Brosnan, for Christ's sakes, compared to some of these bozos. Bright colors on guys is, in my opinion, is fucking stupid. Like, I wish I had tolerance for more color in my wardrobe, but it's black, gray, navy blue, the occasional green of some kind. I hate browns. Hate. Tan, brown, beige, khaki. Ugh. I don't like any of that. And I honestly, I don't even know why I felt the need to talk about this, but it's just something that bothers me to no end. And when you watch like younger people and some of the shit that they wear, like where on earth are you thinking that this is a good look, right? Like if you know kids, and when I say kids, anyone under the age of say 20, ask them how many pairs of pants they own, like actual pants. If any of them own more than 2, I'd be shocked. It's nothing but fucking sweatpants and, athleisure attire. Wow, what a boring fucking topic, David, huh? Somebody told me I just do too much sports, and it's true, I do. But then I said to there was my buddy Miko who mentioned that. He's like, "Yeah, I can't listen to too much sports." I'm like, well, I guess that's fair. Let's try something else. Let's try men's fashion, huh? I just can't stand like the way younger people dress. I just think it looks so fucking stupid. But again, like, I'm a middle-aged fat guy, so I have no room to talk. None. But yeah, I do need to talk about sports just ever so briefly, because the Red Sox lost again last night. They've lost 2 games now to the Los Angeles Angels of Orange County. And I have no confidence in anyone on this team other than Devers. Maybe Duran to a point. Like, even Crochet, who's supposed to be the ace of the team, they neuter this guy, and they can't seem to figure out what the fuck to do with him. One week it's, we limited him to 85 pitches, so we took him out. The next week he throws a career high in pitches. Like, just fucking 100 pitches. But, let him finish out an inning. And if it takes him 117, all right, so be it. But we're going to futz around with 15, 16 pitches? Because you're thinking you're doing the guy a favor? Oh, well, we want to make sure that, when we get to August or when we get to September, he's going to be healthy. Fellas, you stink. You should not be worrying about anything other than today. That's it. Why are you worrying about fucking 4 months down the road? You're going to be in Cancun. So what the fuck does it matter to you? It's such a stupid way to play baseball. But again, and it's just business. It's business over ball. They don't fucking care about winning. They do not care. You've got at least 28 other teams that do the same exact thing. And then the other 4 will just rotate on a yearly basis. Well, maybe 3 of the 4, because the Dodgers just keep winning. I just hate the whole... It's just a giant fucking smokescreen. It's so stupid. Like, why... And I hate saying it, but it's like, why do I invest in any of this? Like another friend of the show, Jacques Lambert of Carnival Personnel Podcast. Like he makes it a concerted effort to like not watch sports, and I envy the man. Though I think sneakily he still watches a lot of sports. He just likes to say that he doesn't. That's my gut feeling. Jacques Lambert. It's such a fucking great name. But yeah, honestly, fuck the Red Sox. I'm trying not to fucking care. And I did a pretty good job like the last few years because they were so bad. This team shouldn't be this bad. But they're this bad. I'm looking forward to the Stanley Cup playoff. The Stanley Cup final, I should say. I hope it's a 7-game grind. I don't really care who wins, though I would like to see Edmonton win just to make Leafs fans cry some more. And because, look, it's a Canadian sport. You need a Canadian champion. If Florida wins, whatever. I don't care. It just still kind of goes back to what I've always said about hockey in Florida, is that it doesn't belong. But they have no income tax, so it's a big deal, right? I'd like to see Marchand win the cup, but quite frankly, I don't really give a shit. So, all right, this is going to be a rather boring episode. So just kind of here we are, like 15 minutes in. I'm giving you fair warning. Right? Go back, download the episode, and if you want to just end it now, well, you'd miss some good stuff if you ended it now. All right. On the topic of podcasting, one of the goats is hanging them up. Mark Maron of the very successful What the Fuck with Mark Maron announced the other day that he's donezo, burnt out, tired. To which I say, first and foremost, whoa. I mean, I can't even fathom getting tired and burnt out from a podcast. But I guess when you're very successful at podcasting, maybe that can, it turns into a job. Which it did. 15 plus years. Something like 1,700 episodes or something. And again, he's been doing this for a long time, and he's good at it. Now, look, I'm not to say that I was like a P1 by any stretch. I would occasionally dip into some of his stuff based on, maybe things that I'd heard, or, if I knew that he was interviewing somebody that I wanted to hear, I would check it out. Good interviewer, very easy. It's just one of these things that, okay, you've been doing this for 15 plus years and you say that you're tired and burnt out. And then the other quote that he said was, quote, utterly satisfied with the work we've done, end quote. I would have just left it there. I probably wouldn't have said that he was tired and burnt out. It's like, you're getting old. Okay. And you're satisfied with the work that you've done. I would not be the least bit surprised if in, say, 2 years or so, in between projects, he starts another podcast or starts doing like, one-off episodes, because one of these podcast companies is absolutely going to throw buckets of money at him. It's a guarantee. Like, some of the episodes he did with comedians was good. Were good, I should say. Some of them weren't. Some of them were just kind of dull, and I think it was because he was tired. But it's interesting. Interesting take. Had he just stuck with being satisfied with the work that they've done, that would have made for, in my opinion, a much better reason than just, I'm tired and burnt out. Like, dude, it's a fucking podcast. Like, you get to talk to famous people. You get to talk to your friends. Like, and you're successful doing it? That's the brass ring. That's what everyone is chasing. And you got it. You worked your ass off to get it. Or you're a very good conversationalist, a funny guy, an easy listen. Well, so good news. For those that are looking for podcasts where they talk about comedy, I just mentioned previously Jacques Lambert and his podcast with Joe and Biff. It's called Carnival Personnel. You should check it out. Jacques being in the comedy game here locally, he talks to a bunch of local comics. Some better than others. But yeah, you should check that out. But I mean, look, good on Mark Maron. Thanks for the work that you've done. I think he's got like another 3 months before he hangs it up, which is like, okay, let's bump these numbers here a bit before we wrap it up. Let's leave people wanting more, which is a great idea, a literal great idea. So, just kind of smart on his part. I don't know. I'm overthinking this, I think. But I mean, I wish I had a tenth of the audience, a tenth of the success, sitting behind a microphone talking about nothing. And it's funny when you listen to like some of his older episodes, like from 2010. They're a much more entertaining version of this, where he just complains about different shit, but he's complaining a lot about comedy. And that's how the whole thing started, which is kind of like a way to talk about his business. And the various, the various things that he didn't care about with regards to other comedians. So, good news. Now your time is freed up to listen to other podcasts. And even better news, there's only 15 million other podcasts for you to choose from. And if you've made the really stupid decision to listen to this, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, I don't know. I would like to talk to more people, but as I've mentioned, I just don't have the time. I did reach out to the woman from the New York Times who wrote the article about Bill Belichick and his girlfriend. She did not reply. I mean, what a slight, huh? Jeez, just rude. Anyways, Godspeed, Mark Maron. I also found out that he is going to be in this Bruce Springsteen movie that's coming out. Except he's playing a producer, the guy who produced the Nebraska album. And the way that this particular article put it, it's like, Maron will portray Chuck Plotkin, the producer who painstakingly mastered Springsteen's pivotal 1982 album, Nebraska. Ugh. I'm sure that'll just be a thrilling film. And I'm sure you're going to have a lot of angry people when it comes out, too. All those people whose entire personality is wrapped up in our current president. I'm sure they'll be protesting. I don't like Bruce Springsteen because he doesn't like the president. All right, folks, let's build a bridge. Go touch grass. Go read a book. Go do something else. Anyways, Mark Maron, shout out. Congrats. There's a couple like music things that I want to get to. One, first and foremost, let's just do this, and then I'll break and go to the next bit, because I think the next bit might be a touch longer. But the first thing I did want to mention, and I had it in last week's notes, and I just totally skipped right over it, but rest in peace, Rick Derringer. If you're not familiar with Rick Derringer, you should be. This is the like what a weird career for a musician to have, right? And such a varied, not, I wouldn't say varied, but I mean, it kind of gives you a good sense of what a musician can do. Like when the musician is good enough, but not so great that they have like this enviable personality or like a lot of hits. But Rick Derringer did have or played a part in numerous hits. He was the producer and guitarist for Weird Al for years, for a long time, and was behind the board for a lot of his early success, which I didn't even know. I had no clue. And the only reason I knew the guy died was because of Weird Al posting on Instagram. R.I.P. Rick Derringer. I was like, whoa. And he's like, good friend, good producer. You know, I owe him a lot to my success. I'm like, holy smokes, I had no clue. I knew who Rick Derringer was, but not because of Weird Al. I knew Rick Derringer because of his work with the WWF, not the World Wildlife Fund. You filthy, grubby, animal-loving thieves. He was the co-writer, and I'm pretty sure he did vocals on Real American, which was the theme song for Hulk Hogan, and like one of the best songs ever. But yeah, you know, he wrote that song, or was a co-writer in that song. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see. Yeah, so he was a collaborator on the early days with... oh, wow, holy Jesus. All right, this is what sucks about me as a podcaster not doing enough work beforehand. Because you get on somebody's fucking Wikipedia page and you're like, oh, there's that. Oh, whoa, holy smokes. Oh, my God. He played with fucking Jim Steinman, you know, on, let's see, Total Eclipse of the Heart, Making Love Out of Nothing at All. He did a bunch of fucking guitar work for Meatloaf's shitty albums. Played guitar on Barbra Streisand's album. He did some work with Cyndi Lauper. But he co-wrote Real American, right? And Real American was supposed to be the theme song for the U.S. Express, which if you're familiar with wrestling, the U.S. Express, Barry Windham, Mike Rotunda, who are, you know, legends, but for a number of different reasons. But anyways, once Wyndham left to go work for Billionaire Ted, they gave the song to Hulk Hogan, and that's the thing. He did a theme song for the tag team Demolition, which is one of the most underrated, dominant tag teams of the late 1980s, early 1990s, Demolition. Multi-time tag champs. Here comes the Axe, and here comes the Smasher. Their Demolition, walking disaster. What a line, huh? Rick Derringer. He also did a duet with Mean Gene Okerlund, recording a new version of Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. You know Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So funny. Yeah, did a ton of work with Johnny and Edgar Winter, the McCoys, which was Hang On Sloopy. He was in that band. Produced Edgar Winter's Frankenstein, Free Ride. He produced Eat It. He produced Fat. So fucking good. Like, this is the kind of, like, fascinating, interesting career that you don't really know anything about until they die. And that's just so fucking sad. He was in Ringo Starr's band. Fucking hell, man. It's so crazy. He also got busted for bringing a fucking gun on the plane. Rick Derringer. What an interesting dude. Big fan of Donald Trump. Also a big fan of Alex Jones, surprisingly. It's like, what? What's the matter with you? Heart problems. But, hey, good on you, Rick Derringer. Even though if you got a little weird at the end, but hey, that's cool, You contributed a lot to general society over the course of your life, and I, for one, appreciate it. So rest in peace, Rick Derringer. You won't have to deal with Democrats in the afterlife. All right, so recently, I'm not certain how I stumbled on this or heard this or what. I'm not sure. But what I do know is that it was done in passing, and it led me down a rabbit hole that I've spent quite a bit of time, futzing around in. David Hasselhoff. Is he or is he not an American treasure? Or is he not a global treasure? Huh? See what I did there? We all know the story. We've all heard the story. Okay? Very popular in Austria and then Germany and Switzerland, the whole thing with the Berlin Wall. We all know that. I needed to figure out how the fuck did this happen? Like, what? And to be fair, I still really haven't got to, like, the root of it. Like, what I can't find is how did his music become so popular in Central Europe in the 80s? Like, how did that happen? That I can't find. What I can find is how that whole fucking thing started. And it's a very interesting story. And I'm ripping it off from a number of different sources. NPR, Time Magazine, the New York Times, I think The Guardian is in here somewhere. But, it just kind of melding it all together to tell the tale, if you will. Because, look, maybe you guys don't know the story. Maybe you guys don't know just how weird this whole thing is. And this is one of those things that I find very interesting because it's weird. The story goes 1985. There was some kind of magazine contest where the prize for winning whatever the contest was, and that's another thing I can't find. Like, what the fuck was the contest? What was the magazine? But the prize was for whoever won, you got to have lunch with the Hoff at his home in Los Angeles. I'm like, what? Now, apparently this was like shortly after Knight Rider was canceled. So, the light on Hasselhoff's stars kind of dimming a bit. He'd probably, messed around with some like some weird like game show type deals. Maybe he did a couple of Hollywood Squares episodes to stay relevant. Maybe he did like a Battle of the Network Stars type of deal, just so that people could see him on TV after his show was canceled. Well, anyways, this girl shows up to his house. The girl who wins the contest. And basically shows up and says, hey, your album is #1 in my country. And he's like, huh? What country is that? And she says, Austria. And then his response, according to this one article, is, quote, oh, wow, where is Austria? End quote. Oof. And if I'm, here's my thing, right? If I'm David Hasselhoff at this point, I am livid. Like, how does my agent or my record company not fucking say, oh my God, David, your album is #1 somewhere, anywhere? How is that not known? Which kind of leads me to think that part of that story might be BS. He had to have known. He had to have. But then it makes him sound like that he did a lot of the work on his own, which again, maybe he did. I don't know. But he reached out to his agent and was like, hey, I need some concert promoters in Austria. And he played a bunch of shows. And then it went to #1 in fucking Germany and Switzerland. And this lasted a few years. We're talking all through the late 80s. Until his big album, Looking for Freedom, came out. Looking for Freedom. That's right. It was based on an old German favorite, because now the Hoff figured out where his audience is. And it's in Germany. On both sides of the wall, apparently. Auf der Straße nach Süden. I know I'm saying that entirely wrong, but apparently Looking for Freedom was based on that old German song. Quote, one morning in June, some 20 years ago, was born a rich man's son. I had everything that money could buy, but freedom I had none. Then you get drums in the chorus. Quote, I've been looking for freedom. I've been looking so long. I've been looking for freedom. Still the search goes on, end quote. The album came out in 1989. And if you're familiar with 1989, it was a big deal in Europe. Poland, Germany, the collapse of communism. Looking for Freedom was an anthem. He sold millions of copies in Europe. Millions. So as the wall is coming down, Hoff gets a call. He's been invited to come on something called the Sylvester Show, which is similar to Dick Clark in the United States, inviting the Hoff to sing Looking for Freedom on its 1989 New Year's Eve special. And the Hoff decided to put his fucking balls on the table and ask for something big. And he said, no, only if I can sing on the Berlin Wall. Which is just fucking ludicrous. For a host of reasons. Well, guess what? The Sylvester Show agreed. They agreed. And on New Year's Eve in 1989, he sang his song, Looking for Freedom, while being hoisted by a crane above the wall to 500,000 people. Think about that. A 500,000 people in Berlin. That's fucking bonkers. Absolutely, flat out, straight up bonkers. And he's up there and he's fucking singing the song and he's just drinking it all in. Like, you need to find the video. Find the video of looking for freedom at the Berlin Wall and be prepared to be in awe. His responses to the whole thing, though, just add to the mythology of it. And this is from an interview in Time from 2019, 30 years after the wall had fallen. And he says, quote, "Usually you play to the camera. I just kept bending over and playing to the crowd because I was so moved by the experience. I was with the people that night, and I didn't care if I fell out. I was on a mission from God. The whole thing was surreal. It was the greatest celebration of all time. I knew nothing except for having children would ever top this moment. Nothing has." End quote. Amazing. Amazing. And the whole thing, right, is, you have a lot of people saying shit like, David Hasselhoff, he brought down the wall. Well, I mean, no. It was already coming down at the time. But, there was some other quotes and interviews with other people, like, scattered throughout these articles, and it's like, in their younger days, they thought for sure that David Hasselhoff was somewhat responsible for bringing down the wall. But it's like, you had this song that they all fell in love with that had so much to do with their everyday existence, right? Their everyday existence was literally looking for freedom. If you were in East Germany, that's what it was. East Berlin, East Germany. You were looking for freedom. And David Hasselhoff knew that and provided you with that anthem. How long before... shut up. Just crazy. But, dig into that. Dig into David Hasselhoff, Berlin, 1989, and be prepared to be in awe. And you'll be in awe of the size of the crowd. Again, 500,000 people. Roughly. Probably more. I mean, once you watch the video again, you're not getting the best quality video. It's German TV from 1989. But 500,000 people watching David Hasselhoff, who most of the people in this country think of as a bit of a clown, right? Unbelievable. Like, the man is a fascinating individual on a number of levels. Has managed to carve out an incredible career on TV. He's Mitch from Baywatch. He's Michael Knight from Knight Rider. And in some people's eyes, an absolute hero to the German people. Crazy. I reached out to Hoff and his people for comment, and they did not reply. So we're 2 for 2 this week on interview requests, or just not even interview requests, but just comments. Because I didn't ask him to be on the show. I mean, please. You think I'm going to have David Hasselhoff on my show? Yeah, of course. 10,000%. I would just ask him more questions about Knight Rider more than anything. Berlin. Ich bin ein Berliner. I've been looking for freedom. Don't listen to the song, though. Just watch the video. The song itself is just meh. Oh, man. All right, good news. Order has been restored. We have 2 voicemails from our dear friend Mike. You too can get involved. 617. Hold on. 617-804-1557. 617-804-1557. I forgot the number. Oof.
Dave, it's Mike. Finally got caught up on the 5th anniversary show. Yeah, you really ended it on kind of a tough tone, depressing tone. So I guess I'll continue on that with really this whole immigration thing and the crackdown. I honestly think it's bringing out the worst. It's bringing out, these people who at worst are just disgusting racists, and at best are just shitty humans, and most likely both, kind of taking the stance, the law is the law, and that's their excuse to let out their rotten, disgusting selves. So I can't look at social media without being mad, depressed. I don't think kidnapping people is the right way to do things. I think if someone has issues with the way they're here, then they should be worked with to figure out those issues. So, yeah, it's terrible. It's really bad. I got other stuff to talk about too. Maybe I'll call him later.
I ended the show on a depressing tone? Wow, man. That's entirely possible. Who knows? But I honestly don't remember. I don't remember yesterday. Never mind last week. I apologize. That wasn't my intent. I can tell you that. And then Mike comes in, jumps off the top rope, talking about immigration. Oof. Wow. Look, you're not wrong. The way they're going about it is poor. But it's targeting, right? They want you to be afraid. They want everyone to be afraid. That's the whole goal. They're not doing it to eliminate the worst of the worst. That's not what they're doing. No, they're going after the soft underbelly of people that are here for other reasons. Usually, I don't know, just to improve the way that they live, but that's neither here nor there. They're doing it to make you afraid, just like they do everything else. Everything is about fear, and it's been going on since, probably since Nixon, really. Whatever they can do to try to keep the general population under its thumb. Now, do I think people should be here illegally? No. Do I think we should be going through and wasting copious amounts of taxpayer dollars to round up and deport people who are just working? Literally, like you go to like a construction site and round up half a crew. What's the benefit there? Those people are contributing to society, probably paying more taxes than the top 1% of the country. And no, they're not. That's not true. But still, and generally, just making it more difficult for everyone else when you do those things. But you don't want to hear that part. People don't want to hear about that. All they want to do is just yell about brown people because they're terrible. Brown people, what's between people's legs, who they choose to fornicate with, it's all very important and all, a big, big problem. But, we'll cut Medicaid, we'll cut aid for the rest of the world, we'll cut this, we'll cut that, we'll make it very, very difficult for people who aren't super wealthy to just live their lives. We're going to make it very difficult for them. But in the meantime, you need to worry about the guys cutting your lawn or the guys that are doing your roof, they're horrible humans because they're here illegally. The fuck out. If they're working, they're more legal. They're just as legal as me, for fuck's sake. But, nobody wants to hear that part. And so you're going to round up all these people. You're going to make it much more expensive, much more difficult to do anything with your home. And then eventually you're going to start to see people refinancing to pay for shit. You're going to see 40, 50-year mortgages. You're going to see way more loan defaults. You're going to see way more foreclosures. It's just going to, unless it's like stopped somehow, I don't know. Like this fucking stupid bill he's got that he's pushing through, making it difficult for anybody and everyone. Except for the people at the very, very tippity top, because they need more money. Those are the people we should be mad at. Our anger should be directed at the upper class, the 1%, yet we don't. We don't. Because we have been fooled to think that super rich people are somehow better than the rest of us. Keep believing that. Because that's what they want. They want you to be afraid, and they want you to worship that upper crust, that top 1%. That's what they want. And in the meantime, they're going to start rounding up college kids who are here on student visas for no reason other than for you to be like, oh my God, what are they doing? And to forget about all the other shit that they're doing behind the scenes so that they can consolidate more money and consolidate more power. There you go. There's America for you. Huzzah.
So I wanted to at least give some positive stuff here. WNBA, my team, the Fever, Caitlin Clark's been out. First time she's been out, injured in her college or professional career. I think they're 2-4, nothing too exciting. The thing to note right now is that the two teams that were in the finals last year, the Minnesota Lynx and the New York Liberty, are both 7-0. So you got some really great players in both those teams. Liberty, you have Sabrina Ionescu. You also, I forget her name. But anyways, Sabrina's probably the one you know. You also have on the Lynx, Nafisa Collier, who could be the best player out there. So Stewie, you have Stewie, Brianna Stewart on Liberty. So anyways, that's what's going on there, but probably tune into that. Also the NBA Finals. Got out in the kayak the other day, took the day off Friday, was out from 6 a.m. to 4 or 5 p.m. So I guess I give you a fishing report. Managed to catch 2 largemouth bass, 4.5 pounds, a 3.5 pounder, and a bunch of smallmouth. Went to a really nice pond in the area that's about 60 acres with a river that goes into a bigger lake, I guess, 300 acres, and not much access, really. I saw one other guy as I was leaving, as I was rushing out of there. Basically had all this water to myself all day. Super cool. I mean, I know you're not too much of an outdoorsman, but it's probably my biggest thing of all things. And there is an open invite for you to come down to Plymouth and fish with me. We are in a pond. I got a boat ready to go. I think that would be fun. It'd be cool to see your take on it. I don't know, but it was just a great day. And then had to rush back and take some kids to basketball and do the whole traveling around for basketball weekend. But anyways, just thought I'd share those wins with you, because I know you like those wins and you like to see us listeners happy. Sometimes we actually are happy.
Look at that, Mike coming through with the WNBA report. Though, calling Brianna Stewart Stewie was just a touch weird. I find it odd, though, Michael, that, you talk about the best players in the league. And, it's kind of strange because you have on the Las Vegas Aces someone who is literally the best player in the league, Asia Wilson, 3-time MVP, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time champ, 4-time All-Star. Like, Asia Wilson is the best player in the league. Sorry. Okay? That's just fact, man. It's just how it is. She's terrific. She's very good. Yeah. 2-time MVP. Sorry. Woo. And last season's MVP. I think it's... Oh, fucking hell. How did I do this? Jesus fucking Christ. Alright, timeout. Bear with me here. What the fuck? God damn it. You know what? One of the things I hate more than anything? Getting shit on my fucking clothes. I was eating this, like, dark chocolate ready-to-eat oats thing. And I must have fucking spilled it somewhere and got it on my fucking shirt. God damn it. It was okay. But fucking hell. Right? Oh, fuck. Anyways. And I probably have it elsewhere, too. That's a downside of, like, getting shit on you. Not actual shit, okay? Fuck. Oh, that drives me nuts. Anyways, where was I? Oh, yeah. The fucking WNBA. Yeah, Mike, Asia Wilson's the best player in the league by a fucking country mile. So, Ionescu, sure. Brianna Stewart, sure. These Collier, sure, whatever. But, they all pale. They all pale in comparison to Asia Wilson. That's just fact. It's just how it is, man. It's a fascinating entity, the WNBA, right? The league's been around for, 20 fucking years? And it's just finally getting some traction, which is interesting. And, people are going to be, it's because of Caitlin Clark. Well, yeah, right. I just wonder if, like, Caitlin Clark would say that. I don't know. Probably not, because I haven't really heard her speak much. Can't be the face of a league if you don't fucking say anything. And I don't think she is, because Asia Wilson is a 2-time fucking MVP. Huh? What? Anyways, yeah. The Lynx and the Liberty both undefeated. You know what? Here's what's funny, right? Here's what's funny about the WNBA. So the Connecticut Sun, who have been perennially a pretty decent club. And if I recall correctly, they'd been to the final multiple times, but had never won. And again, I could be wrong about that too. Mainly because I'm wrong about a lot of shit. But like, it's one of these weird things where apparently they basically sold off a ton of assets. Right? They're like, all right, we're cleaning house. Why? Don't fucking know. But they fucking cleaned house. And now they stink. There's only one team worse than them, and it's the Dallas Wings. And the only reason that they're worse is because they've played one more game. So the Sun currently 1-6. And it's funny because the president of the team of the Connecticut Sun is UConn legend Jen Rosati. She's the president of the team. And she gets hired to be the president of the club. Right? And I gotta find like some actual data here. I want to see, okay, when did she become When did she become the fucking president of the team? Why does this not say... This is kind of ridiculous. It doesn't say when she became president of the team. What the fuck? Honestly, what the fuck? But yeah, the Connecticut Sun. They stink. That's the local club. Mike's a fan of Caitlin Clark. She's not a fan of the Indiana Fever. Like, let's be real here. Okay? Let's just be real. It's funny because yesterday... No, was it yesterday? Or Sunday? No, Sunday. The New York Liberty, the undefeated New York Liberty, played the Connecticut Sun. Final score, 100-52. Yo. That is an ass whooping of epic proportions. There were 2 people on the Sun who had 10 points. And they were the leading scorers for the team. Meanwhile, on the other side, you had Sabrina Ionescu, 18 points. Every single player on the New York Liberty scored a point. Every single one. The Sun were outscored in the third quarter, 30-8. And then the Liberty, they kind of, stepped on the brake a bit going into the fourth quarter when they were up 90. Let's see. Well, let me do a little math here because I'm terrible with math. It was 90-36 going into the fourth quarter. 90-36. The WNBA. It's fantastic. Woof. Connecticut Sun. Boo. Thank you for that insightful WNBA report, Mike. I expect more on a weekly basis moving forward. Really looking forward to it. The second thing you mentioned was fishing. Now, Mike is indeed an avid fisherman. And it's weird. My assumption is that most of these Sasquatch sightings in southeastern Massachusetts are literally just Mike going fishing. But I am not a fisherman. I'm not really an outdoorsman. I did start the beginning of the program by saying that I wanted to get out and do a little hiking and spend more time outside. However, I have no intention of being an outdoorsman. I have no intention of fishing. I have no intention of hunting. Quite frankly, I find both activities a little bit, self-serving. Then again, I would assume most activities that you do are. Neither here nor there. Sitting in a boat in a pond, all right, that's cool. Maybe I'll take you up on that, but only if we don't fish. Mike did post something on the Instagram the other day that he took his one of his sons to see or to a fly fishing shop. Boy, that's exciting, huh? I'm sure it is for him. And look, I'm not trying to be a dick. I just don't give 2 shits about fishing, that's all. I know he likes it. He likes it a lot, so good on you, Mike. Good on you for all your fishing. I hope you had a wonderful day on a Friday from 6 a.m. to 4:45. That's when you know that you do not have ADHD, when you can fish for that much time. Because no matter how much you love it, to commit that much time to one singular activity is astonishing. Absolutely astonishing. But good on you. All right, short shift today. And it's the end of the show, which is everyone's favorite part. And it's also time for 3 gripes. Gripe numero uno. Women who work out in full makeup. Now, as someone who doesn't work out at all, beyond the occasional walk or resistance bands in the basement type of deal, I am always struck by women in general. No, it's not entirely true. Mostly true. But yesterday, we had like an after work thing because somebody's leaving, and there was an outdoor yoga class going on. Don't think much of it, except for the occasional glance over at yoga pants, you know what I mean? But as they're dispersing, they're walking by, and I noticed this one girl literally in full makeup, right? And I think to myself, okay, maybe she just got out of work and she goes to yoga. I can't figure how that's, I don't think comfortable is the right word, but maybe this woman just simply does not sweat at all. Which makes me wonder like how effective this workout might be. But it struck me as weird. And then, quite frankly, I didn't really think too much about it until I'm walking to the train and this woman runs by me, right? Attractive woman runs by and clearly she's sweating. However, she is clearly has a full face of makeup because you can like see it. I could see it, like lines in her makeup from the sweat dripping down her face. Now, either she literally does not give a fuck, which good on you, okay? You don't need to give a fuck. Good on you. Or she's just horribly vain. But, I am always struck by the people who feel the need to run on the sidewalk in Boston, right? And I know a lot of people that do it. But why are you running during, like, the busiest time of day? I don't know. Like, it's an awfully petty take on my part, admittedly. Because, just walking after work to get to the train station and you're dodging people who are running down the sidewalk through mobs of people who are just walking on the sidewalk. It's called a sidewalk, not a side run, nor a side bike. You shouldn't be doing either of those things. It's called a sidewalk. Quite frankly, I'd be happier with like running lanes over bike lanes, because I think bike lanes are fucking useless. Like, you should be following the rules of the road if you are on a wheeled vehicle of any kind, motorized or not. Stopping at stoplights, obeying the laws of traffic, instead of just riding willy-nilly down these bike lanes, and they are fucking useless. Mainly because a lot of people don't even use them. And the ones that do use them feel entitled. I've gotten way off my initial gripe of women who work out in full makeup, which isn't really a gripe. Look, be you. Do your thing. If you want to look hot while you're working out, more power to you. I'm fine with that, really. It's not really a gripe. It was an observation more than anything else. So, anyways, gripe number 2. People who say shit like, I can't believe it's June, but we're actually here. What the fuck? Like, what the fuck? And it is most certainly a work thing, right? Where everything's based on a month or a quarter or whatever, and then you're like, oh, I can't believe it's June. We're already here. Yes, this is how time moves. We all know that once you finish May 31st, when you were shocked that May came, the next day is June 1, and you are in June. And this is how it's worked your entire life. Like, the only time you should really be, let's find the right word here. I don't want to say cognizant, but kind of. The only time you should really be cognizant of the month or the day is when you're in school. Because then you're always looking forward to the end of school, right? And then that's when you would say, oh, I can't believe June's here already. Yay. Like, but no. Not when you're an adult in a professional setting. It's the end of the month. Let's enjoy the end of the month and let's move on to the new month. It's a new month. That should be what it should, every time. It's a new month. Moving on. We're putting the last month and last quarter behind us. We're on to the new one. Nope. It's still, oh, I can't believe we're actually here. Ugh. And then gripe number 3. It's been 5 years plus of doing this crap, and I know that I've occasionally come up with a gripe that, I might say, yeah, this is not that great. But I was sitting here this morning trying to legitimately come up with a third gripe. So I came up with not being annoyed enough to think of a third gripe. I'm stunned. I am legitimately stunned that after all this time, the whole basis of the program is these 3 points at the end of the show. That's how the show started. The show, like, the one constant throughout, the only segment that has survived for 5 years has been 3 gripes. And occasionally it's 4. But now, today, 4th day of June, 2025, only really 2 gripes. And the first one was horribly minor. And then this third one's not even really a gripe. I'm just mad at myself for not being, aware of more annoying things to count as a gripe. However, that's good news for you. Because that means the show is over. If you think of gripes, call in. 617-804-1557. I'm very thankful for Mike, as always, even though he did mention fishing. And I'm thankful for all of you that are actually listening to the program. If you are, I appreciate it. If you want to chime in, let me know. If you have something else that's like weird, sort of deep divey kind of things that you think would be fun to talk about, like David Hasselhoff on the Berlin Wall, I'd love to hear it. Always looking for more weird things to dive into. I am on the Instagram at ComplaintsPod. I'm at Twitter at ComplaintsPod. I am on Facebook, but fuck Facebook. YouTube, Threads, all the various podcasting platforms, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon. Yeah, but that's it. Listen, next week the schedule might be a little wonky because Wednesday I do have to go into the office, so I have to figure out like what I'm gonna do. It could be a Thursday shift. We'll see, but yeah, I wouldn't really sweat it because you're not gonna miss much. Like, let's be fair, right? Hopefully by next week, my head cold will be gone, and I have expelled all this miscellaneous phlegm. Oh, God, I can't stand it. Weeks of this shit. Now I'm on the Mucinex. I took some Mucinex this morning. We'll see if this actually works. But, it's store brand Mucinex. Even though it makes no fucking difference. Whatever. Anyways, thank you as always. I do appreciate it. Please be sure to tell your friends, tell your moms, take care of yourself, take care of each other. Godspeed. Ta-ta.
without speech. I am speechless.